I really hope you enjoyed that throwback video because those were scenes from 1971, Ghana's 14th anniversary, independence celebrations, and there was a big concert there called Soul to Soul concert, and then you had Ike and Tina Turner, who passed away yesterday. She came there with her ex-husband, and there were a whole bunch of musicians from the Black American world and from Africa as well. So we had Ghana Ba for Ghana here, Wilson Pickett from the States, Carlos Santana, the guitar guy, and of course Wilson Pickett and Tina Turner. So you could see her jamming to Bamaya and Balongo back in the day, 1971. And if you looked at all those kids there, they are now nearing retirement or on pension. Time is just, it's like a river. It just keeps flowing, till God himself says, end of time. Yeah, we can't do anything about it. We are in that river and we're all moving, to our destination. And what we do on earth determines our destination in the hereafter. I see my guest nodding very sagely because he knows the import of those words. He is Sheikh Aremiyao Shaibu, spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. He's joining me for headlines. We'll be joined later on by Reverend Dr. Lawrence Teta, who is the president and founder of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach. Today is a very important day. It's AU Day. So 60 years ago, the Organization of African Unity was founded, 1963, 25th of May. And so we're celebrating exactly 60 years. There'll be a conversation on Africa, rich but poor continent, today on our show from 8:30. But I'd like to start with you, first of all. Happy AU Day to you.
Happy AU Day. I mean, I'm somebody of an African identity.
Yes.
And definitely wherever Africans are, even our great-grandfathers who were carried here with all the potentials to work on those plantations, who lost their dignity, lost their humanity. But thank God that things have changed. And at least for once in the history of even the U.S., we have somebody of an African descent who rose to become the president. But the paradox is, when we even think of how far we have come, we also think so much about where we have failed as a continent in size, which is so large, a continent endowed with every kind of natural and mineral resources that God in his own wisdom endows a people with, so they can extract and bring about well-being of their people. Human capital. I mean, you hear sometimes, just recently I was listening to this Sheikh Anta Diop of Senegal, that historian and a poet. And if you listen to the wisdom, and then go back far away when they say even civilization began in Africa, Egypt is there. The Egyptologists now will go through and give you all those things. So all these God-given wisdom and natural resources, where did they go to? Why are we still a continent so much endowed and we are in this kind of mess? African leaders have shown, apart from those pioneer ones who have done, Kwame Nkrumah and the rest, those in South Africa, in somewhere in Zimbabwe, in Malawi, some of the names I cannot remember, that have indicated what African leadership can do. But over a certain generation, we degenerated so much so that in the situation of plenty, we are so poor. Secondly, we still are under control of other powers. We have still not been extricated from what they call the neo-colonialism is still over our heads. I mean, look at, Ghana, I all the time feel sad and ashamed with respect to all our former political leaders that we had to go to IMF for 17 times. And somebody was saying that assuming we want to bring all the finance ministers of those yesteryears to the present and put them in the same one room, these are people well educated. They know what economics means. So what exactly went wrong? And how is the global economic system being managed such that sometimes it's been remote controlled from somewhere. Keep your national currencies at bay, and yet other currencies keep on increasing in their values. Why is the cedi so low? Why is the pound sterling so high? Why is the dollar so high? Why is the Dutch mark so high? Why is the French? How do they call it, that one?
It used to be euro. It used to be franc. It's not a euro.
Why is the euro so high? Why is the naira so low? Why this? I can't understand.
I understand it.
A certain system is being, but as Africans, it appears to me we have not succeeded in really thinking through these things very well and really be self-reliant, build our capacities such and such that some of these countries will have to rely on us. Dangote, I'm told the oil refinery that he just inaugurated, that huge, massive one, it's 12 billion hard, durable US dollars.
Yes, man.
12 billion. So it means that we have the potential. So since Nigeria, since their independence, we never had somebody who could be so visionary. And they struck oil, not today.
Almost 50 years back.
Before we could strike oil, Nigeria had been in this business for all this while. So where were their leaders? They never thought as a state that the potential was there for us to build a refinery, and Dangote of recent birth had to come and do this even as an individual, not the state. Not the state. As an individual. He's doing this. Well, he is a wealthy man and he's in business. And he's going to rake all the profits.
Of course.
But the only advantage is that he will create employment, I feel at least one, and that is advantage. But that is his investment, his investment, not the state investment.
No.
So what becomes one day if something happens to that business? So Nigeria will slide back, and when I was watching the news, I told myself, so one person spent 12 billion durable US dollars, and Ghana is stationed for 3 billion. I felt sad. But I'm not talking about Ghana and Nigeria, but I'm talking about Africa. Why are we the way we are? I mean, it is sad. I mean, we sat AU Day. You know what? One of my saddest feeling. AU was there. The look. So if there's any AU person, you must just take my destiny coolly. They looked on when Gaddafi, who spent so much for OAU to be reorganized into AU, they looked on when this man was attacked. His own people was insulted against him. They killed him in the most callous manner. You cannot trace Gaddafi's grave. And I was sad that I didn't hear African leaders, whatever mistakes he has, but as an African leader who came with this vision, I hope I can be corrected if I'm wrong. I didn't hear any African, not even the AU, raising a voice that this is our own. Whatever his mistake, we stand by him, and we completely condemn how this man was killed. For me, it was a shame.
I think he was betrayed.
Seriously, for what he did for Africa. And for AU to remain silent, loudly silent, for this man to be killed in the way that he was killed. Look, the disgrace to him, in Africa, when a king dies and you say you cannot even find his grave, you know what it means?
Yes, so.
Any of the tribes in Ghana here, Dabani, Ga, Ewe, Fanti, Asante. Can you imagine something happens in any of these great tribes in our country? That their king is killed, and then the body is taken somewhere, thrown into the sea or into the desert that no one, even in their great-grandchildren in future, cannot trace where our great-grandfather died and was buried. That's what an African leader was. That was a thing that was done to an African leader. Those African leaders kept silent over this. Up till now, they have never shown their condemnation about it. On a day like this, I want to hear African leaders, AU leaders coming to talk this way. It's sad. Gaddafi was killed in the way that he was done disgracefully. But what has become of Libya today? The Western forces have done so, left now Libya impoverished, a country so divided and down. When Gaddafi was alive, Libyans were living good.
Very well.
I mean, free medical care, free education, free housing. What is it that you need for citizens of a country if you can get, in this country, if you can get housing, even if you call it affordable for the the poorest to be able to afford this. Get them free healthcare, excellent healthcare. Get them education which is free to build the human capital in this country. If we get this straight, where will we get to? Gaddafi was doing so for Libya. His own people were incited from external forces, were incited. Those in the diaspora were incited against those who were internal, and they came against him. And I saw this man, Libyans themselves were jostling him until they gave him is it the last gun or the last something? And for days he lay, and God, Libyans were coming to see, and they were happy. They were coming to see him. This the man, this the man. Now they have been left in this kind of state, and I hope that they can reflect on, even on a day like this, the wrong that they've done to themselves, the wrong that the external forces have done to Africa, and the wrong that Africans have done to themselves. We are endowed, and we must extricate ourselves. Other than that, we will continue to suffer under the slavery, the new form of slavery. Yeah. And the best of our human resources will be moving across to the developed land. Can you imagine, even when our president is sick now, we are not sure whether our doctors here can cater, or our facilities can cater for him. We have to rush him straight to either US, to Canada, to Germany, or to the US. That is our current reality. You don't trust your own facility here. Because you don't trust it, you rush them out of the country. Go there, and that you are guaranteed that they can be kept alive. What kind of continent are we? But I know that God has endowed us. God has endowed us. We have wisdom. We have human strength. Look at this guy, Bolt. Bolt is an African.
Usain
Bolt is an African. Who knows that he's a Ghanaian? Who was taken away there and now kept in Jamaica somewhere. In every field of human endeavor, philosophy, thought, wisdom. Come and listen to some of the wisdom of our traditional people. So what kind of people are we that we cannot put all these things together and keep our pride as Africans? But when we talk about Africans now, it's emotional. But what makes it really proud? Where is that? We are only being emotional. Now, okay, we are certain people of a certain pigment that we have been disrespected. So when we remember, we get. But ourselves, what are we doing to ourselves? So African leaders, please, especially the political leaders, understand where we have gotten to, where we have made a mistake. Think so much about the well-being of this continent. What does AU means? What does ECOWAS means to us? How are all these things helping us to be able to become as great as now we see other countries like the US? Look at the vastness of our land, the sea that we have. Look at all these things, the minerals. DR Congo. What is mineral that they do not have? What is it that they do not have? DR Congo. Nigeria, the vastness of Nigeria.
They finally got a working refinery. 50 years after they found oil.
50 years! Now a single person, Dangote of recent birth.
Yeah, man.
I have to now spend, you want to hear, I was using my own jargons, strong, hard, durable US dollars, 12 billion.
I was listening to you on the way.
12 billion of it, man.
Oh,
yeah.
Africa. I'm proud, I'm black, and I don't regret. God made me so. But I think we must do something to be thankful to God that what God gave to us. The Quran has something that, pardon me if I use the Arabic, That
I know you translate it.
إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. God never or does not change the condition of a people unless they themselves change what is with them. Within the context of God's grace to them, how they utilize what God has given them to change their conditions for the better is their duty, according to the Quran. So we will not place this one at the doorsteps of God. We place it squarely at the doorsteps of our leaders who have failed us over the centuries.
Sheikh, thank you so much for that very passionate and emotional speech on the day of African Union 60th anniversary, 25th May 1963, exactly 60 years ago. All those greats gathered and had a vision. I wonder how they are feeling if they could experience what is going on the continent now. We've been joined by another proud African from Ghana, Gadangwe to be precise.
I like that.
An economist and a man of God. His name is Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, president and founder of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach. He doesn't brook nonsense. He has his own hashtag. Hashtag, this nonsense must stop.
Particularly in Africa.
A big time, where we are swimming in nonsense. You're welcome, sir. Happy AU Day to you.
Let me just go straight to where Sheikh finished. I lecture international relations. I lecture that. I'm an international relations expert. I studied international relations in Budapest and also studied international relations in London School of Economics, and also had a chance to be a visiting lecturer in a lot of universities. And I had to even realize the depth of OAU, that we call AU today, in the course of my studies. That the European Union was fashioned
After the OAU.
after the OAU. The Organization of African Unity, which is African Union now. Now, Kwame Nkrumah, who was one of the peers and one of the leaders, said the independence of Africa, of Ghana, will be meaningless unless it's totally linked with the entire community of Africa. We have missed it. And Sheikh, you could not have been right than anything that we have had leaders that are wimps. Before we even go to Gaddafi, what happened to Boutros Ghali? And nobody spoke because Boutros Ghali spoke his mind. I am a student and a lecturer of international relations. And what I'm saying now is that we miss it as Africans. We look ourselves and we behave like the Jews of old or Israelis of old who said they look like grasshoppers when they went to spy the land. And because of that, we are not able to speak our mind. Forgetting that the entire wealth of the world is in Africa. We have the gold, we have the diamond, we have the magnesium. If you go to Congo, that I go very often, there is no mineral resources you don't have in Congo. In fact, the chips we use for our mobile phones and the substance that is done with it come from Congo.
Yeah.
Who doesn't use mobile phone now? Our TVs, our radios have that substance. So, Sheikh and Kafui, we have a lot to do. Celebrating African Union should not just be ceremonies. It should be practical. And you rightly spoke about Gaddafi. What happened to Kwame Nkrumah? Let's go. Yendi Efiasem. Before we go to Gaddafi.
Start from home.
Let's start from home. What overthrew Kwame Nkrumah? Let's face it, and sometimes we become so political, but it's not about NDC MPP. Trust me, we can't be that cheap when it comes to leadership. Kwame Nkrumah did well for Ghana.
Yes.
The Kwame Nkrumah show boy, I want to see him. Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah show boy, I want to see him. Kwame Nkrumah show boy.
This one were small boys.
The roads that were done in Temamoto Way in 1962 is still a road.
So deteriorated now.
Roads that were done yesterday evening in some part of Ghana is messed up. And these premises we are now, when we're coming back, I came with a lady, Reverend Marcia Da Costa. She came from London yesterday. from Jamaican descent, but an English person. She advised Scotland Yard in London, police in London. The lady seated there now. And she asked me, how long has this thing been? I said, since Nkrumah. I was very embarrassed. She's the one to say there. And I told her, this thing was built by Kwame Nkrumah. Nobody has developed it. But for Kwame Nkrumah, we don't have this edifice we have today. And yes, we find a way of teaming up with outsiders to destroy our own. Africans, we are our own devils. We are our own witches and our own witchcraft. And most time it's greed. Individuals want to amass wealth and they forget about the bigger picture. Can I tell you one sad thing? I've lived in Europe for a very long time. Most leaders we've had in most African countries, children are the most miserable people in Europe. The blessings that they are supposed to be getting, they don't have it. Because the leaders that are supposed to be speaking for the masses left the masses, and spiritually, they never had their children inherit what they have. What is happening to Mobito's children? What is happening to Azigewe's children? What is happening to Kwame Nkrumah's children now? And what is happening to the entire nation? I think that we must wake up. And we should not just be rhetoric when it comes to speaking on African Union. We shouldn't be political about it. I know by now the foreign affairs minister, the president, the vice president, prime ministers, and what have you in all the African Union, by now they are giving facts, already written down a statement by some secretary who was giving big speeches. But practically, we are zero. And I keep saying this thing, until Africa begin to walk the talk, will be a mess. I was privileged to be in Benghazi,
Libya.
I was also privileged to be in Tripoli. And at that time, if you read even the Green Book, Green Book by Gaddafi, the substance in it is so rich that, like you rightly said, when you give birth, the mother doesn't have to be kept in the hospital like it's done in Ghana here.
Yep.
That there are mothers today. Some of them will go to the hospital. Myself, Pastor Two Rocks, and my wife, we go to the hospital called Ibu Teaching Hospital to go and pay before mothers are released. They've been 3 days, 5 days, 4 days. They've given birth because they've not paid. The children cannot be released.
So you go and liberate them.
Yes.
Set the captives free.
It's so sad. Sometimes you live there. My wife has left sometimes in tears. And Gaddafi was able to absorb all that. He was even extending it to other countries. And yes, we in our foolishness. And if I talk about this nonsense must stop, these are some of the nonsense that must stop. We destroy our own. It's happening in Ghana too. It's happening in Ghana and Sheikh. We shouldn't go to Libya. Ghana. NDF first. That instead of us to know ourselves as Ghanaians must know Ghanaians. Northness must know Southness. Southness must know Northness. Ewe must know Dagbani. Dagbani must know Fante. Fante must know Dangbe. Dangbe must know Gan. We don't do that. I'm happy with what you are doing now of late. You look like one of them from the north.
The Dagbani Prince.
That is, for me, this is my excitement.
Yeah.
This is Ghanaian.
Yeah.
And these things we see in Ghana, we shouldn't take it for granted. I know you this morning you say you'll be talking to me about the Ghana thing, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes, Africa first.
We shouldn't take it for granted at all. That the unity between Lawrence Tete, who is a reverend, and Sheikh Aremeyaw, who is a sheikh,
Islamic sheikh, yeah.
it doesn't happen even in Nigeria, not even in Togo here. So that is how African Union should see itself. If we can come together in a massive united front, we can have a better Africa. Otherwise, we keep destroying it. And when one is destroyed, we are not powerful anymore. There's no African leader today who can stand up to America. There's no African leader today who can stand up to a United Kingdom. There's no African leader today who can stand against Germany. So any nonsense they bring to us, our leaders carry it. And no doubt, we, the royals, we are fulfilling the scripture. There's a scripture in Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 5, that says, I've seen an error that comes from the ruler. Slaves are riding on horses, and princes and princesses are walking barefoot.
Yep.
They say foolish men have been put in high places, and wise men don't have a place to sit. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 from 5, 6, and 7. Certainly, that is one of the bases of my message. This nonsense must stop. How can a royal be working like a slave? And as a matter of fact, those who can work will not even allow them. How dare we kill Gaddafi? And how can an evil person in Africa or in in Libya be excited that the leader, the visionary leader that can save us was killed. Sheikh, I agree with you totally. Because I have been to Libya after the death of Gaddafi.
Oh, okay.
And it is sad. It's not the same.
Describe it.
It's bad.
Yes.
I don't even want to-
Fighting,
it's not the same.
deterioration.
I want to talk about Ghana. When we finished Kwame Nkrumah, everything was stuck. The 7 years roadmap for Ghana was drawn by Hungarians. I was privy to that too. I read that one. As a student, my Professor Thomas, was one of the advisors of Kwame Nkrumah, and he was so delighted in me. And I read some of the reports, and I realized that the wickedness of overthrowing Kwame Nkrumah is evil. It's very evil. It's very, very evil. It was a way to just cut short the prosperity and the leader of Ghana. We kill our visionary leaders, and Africa has killed its own African leaders. And even if you rise up and you want to come up, we are doing it in Ghana. We undermine people's hard-won reputation in the name of politics. NDC, NPP, CPP, and it's all nonsense. We must pray that God give us leaders who have the nation at heart and not people who just want to be called by titles. This nonsense must stop.
Thank you. Kwame Nkrumah, immediately after winning independence, gave expression to his nature as a visionary leader. At least in history, we can remember what we call the Accelerated Development Plan. Accelerated Development Plan.
I like that word.
That is, you see,
Move
and
quickly to develop. Accelerated.
accelerated.
We're in a hurry.
You see, and that is why it was during his time that we saw the flourishing of industry. Look at the factories, the Bonsatai factory, Abosu glass factory, the meat factory, the bag factory.
VRA would not have had electricity today.
all those things. You see, that is why I agree with Professor Adai's definition of leadership. And I wish that anyone who hopes to become the leader of Ghana must fit within this kind of description. He said, you see, he tries to define leadership in terms of functions. So he said the leadership is about visualizing a better future. And leadership is about the designing of the how of getting of the realization of that better future. And Kwame Nkrumah actually did that. But where are those factories today? I'm using Ghana to represent Africa.
Yeah,
Of course.
the NDF, yes.
We are still importing sugar. I cannot give figures, but the amount that goes into our importation of rice in this country,
Billions.
rice in this country.
Chickens.
Fish.
But that factory in the central region, Commander, is still lying there fallow.
Yeah.
I can't understand this.
Built like 60 years ago,
Yeah, the old one was there built.
Yeah.
We as Ghanaians grounded it to a halt. It went out of function. Then afterwards, we thought that, look, we must build another new one. What plans went 28? How did it go there in terms of even the raw materials, so that when it began operating, we can still. Now we built this whole huge thing with national money, and there was no natural the raw materials. Now even this government comes to inherit this instead of accelerating the process to see, look, what can we do? What can we do to really make sure we really get the plantations, afoot, running, so that we can really feed this factory up to now. For how many years now?
Yes, sir.
That thing is still there. And then we now use huge, durable, strong, hard dollar, American currency to import sugar. We are still importing sugar. The Asuchari Sugar Factory, I don't know where is it. Kwame Nkrumah thought about this. And so, look, even in terms of our education, building our skills, because he was talking about industrialization, he thought that our polytechnics was supposed to develop for us, you see, middle-level technicians. Middle-level technicians who will man industry.
So a lot of thought went into the whole.
So now we have become so political because every party wants to get the credit. We've turned these institutions into universities. So we are pushing now. We are pushing now this book-long kind of thing. This is my big English. Can it create?
You're speaking my language. Man.
This big English. I've been talking to my children. This big English. Can it create? Can it create? So we have left, because of political expediency. Turn it into HND. Turn it into. We are not able to really think through so much, connect it with our vision of industrialization. To look, it's not you are not useless when you are a middle income technician. No, you are not useless.
You build the country.
You build the country.
Yeah. I'm not cutting you, Sheikh. In Europe, where I've lived, the most precious people you don't want to play with is the carpenter, the mason, the painter, the plumber.
The plumber, man.
The builder. In fact, the technician, the electricians. They are so powerful, and the TVET system is one thing that I think that's the way to go.
Look,
let's do something practical.
I said one day a plumber came to our home in the UK. We had a problem. He just came around, did a few turns, 60 pounds.
Yes.
Straight. Yes. 60 pounds.
Who will give you 60 pounds in this country?
Yes.
And when he left, my father said, "You see what happened? Yeah, it's a lot of money, but he knows the work."
No, you see how Marcia da Costa is not there. She came from London yesterday.
60 pounds, man.
I've been told.
And before I just to catch you in, so somebody went through the same experience, and they gave him. He called the plumber in. The plumber hits him with a 70 pounds, and the guy said, "Man, what? Why you mean 70 pounds?
I mean,
break it down for me." He says, "Okay, I'll give you a breakdown. 10 pounds for the problem I have solved, and 60 pounds for knowing where the problem is."
So,
That's
it's vocation.
Yeah.
It's better than selling cocaine.
Exactly.
It's better than being a sakawa.
Let's come home.
It's better than coming to steal for money you've not worked for.
Doc and Sheikh, let's come home. This is like a couple of Sundays back. We had a problem with our some carpentry problem.
Yes.
So we called the local carpenter. He comes in. I kid you not. He spent 7 minutes.
So,
And he charged us 250 cedis.
not better.
I said, "Please give me a discount." I said, "Normally I charge 300.
So you'll be discounted.
My brother, that's how I even do my negotiations. When I charge somebody, he says, "Oh, give me a discount." I said, "No, normally I charge higher. So what I've given you is already a discount." And he went. I gave him. I didn't have cash. I said, "Do you take Momo?" He said, "Yes, I take Momo."
So
250 left my phone. 7 minutes of work.
and we are getting we are getting our children today going to do marketing, going to do political science, going to do psychology, sociology, going to do some courses.
We're losing
when
the
they
practicality,
finish,
right?
They don't have work
to do.
with the big
If you
English,
go to the-
positivism,
and even the English they speak doesn't even work. You know the problem we have now.
positivism, relativism,
All the
The problem we have
Formally said all the
empiricism.
isms and schisms.
the problem we have now is that people are forcing to even fake the language.
Yeah, they make up words as they go along.
Now, from the mid-80s that I've left Ghana, people wonder why I don't speak English accent. Sometimes I feel very sad
No, you're a Gamba.
for people who force to speak the English accent. Because what they are saying is like a Nigerian who want to speak accent. I've got a lot of Nigerian preachers who are my friends. When it comes to one word, pastor, they miss it. When it comes to the word nurse, they will say still nurse. When they say come, they will say come. So you learn some vocabularies, but when you come to the count of the word, you can't. I think that talking about Africa and moving forward, we should have a mindset that is positive.
Indeed.
I agree with you that we should have a mindset that we want to be forward thinking.
Mashallah.
We should have a mindset that should realize that what we are doing now is not just for today, but posterity will judge all of us.
Indeed.
Today, we are talking about the good things Nkrumah did.
Yep.
Tell me how many people will be talking about the good things for. Most of the rest will be only political about it. If you are NDC, you support every good thing NDC did.
Of course.
And if you are NPP, you support everything and we did. But let's come to this thing. Kwame Nkrumah had cultural intelligence. What is cultural intelligence? Kwame Nkrumah did not have any PhD anywhere. Kwame Nkrumah schooled in Pennsylvania Theology School and had a certificate of theology. He was supposed to be a preacher of the gospel. He was supposed to be a priest. Then he had a chance to come to LSE. I must say, though, it was Kwame Nkrumah's motivation that made me go to London.
Let's go to LSE.
I just love it.
Osagyefo was there.
Yes. Another person who was there who was very great is Professor Arthur Mills, was also at LSE. And then Omar Abo too was there. And then Dr. Abe was also there. Those people, when you read about them at London School of Economics, those of us who are Ghanaians, it's a big deal. But then he continued in SOAS. He did not finish his PhD when he became part of the Big Six. So most of the doctoral titles Kwame Nkrumah got were honorary.
He didn't get the picture.
But the philosophy he had was more than PhD. I believe that there are professors who don't know anything. There are people who are doctor of science who don't understand. You don't need to be a professor to be smart. Trust me. A PhD is just a minute. You read in some area and then you write a dissertation. That doesn't make you an expert. But Kwame Nkrumah had cultural intelligence. And I plead that all our politicians, especially the young ones who are hurried to get into politics now, from the SRC, from the DDJs, from these things particularly, learn so that you don't become a nuisance when you become a politician. There's a way you can finish being a politician and have a name. Kwame Nkrumah today died so many years ago, but the saying goes, Nkrumah never dies.
I want to shout out the founders of the OAU. So we're going to put up a picture there. So we have 9 of them. Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, who was the Prime Minister of the Republic of Nigeria in 1963. We had Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, President of the Republic of Ghana.
Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
One time. We had His Majesty Haile Selassie, the first Emperor of Ethiopia.
We call him Haile Selassie.
You know it's more. General Gamal Abdul Nasser, President of the United Arab Republic of Egypt, and after whom Kwame Nkrumah named his son Gamal. Yes. His Excellency Ben Bella, President of the Republic of Algeria. Yeah. We also had His Excellency Abdiris Ali Semecht, is the Prime Minister of the Republic of Somalia. We had His Excellency Apollo Milton Obote. Yes, Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda. Yes, and then His Excellency Amadou Ahidjo, President of the Federation of Cameroon. So with Cameroon, Uganda, Somalia, Algeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, Ghana, Nigeria. These are the founding countries of the OAU.
And your president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah,
he was a champion.
In fact, if you go to anywhere in the world, any black person in the world knows the value of Kwame Nkrumah. Unfortunately for us, we Ghanaians throw him down. You go, you see a Jamaican, or you see a Trinidadian,
Cubans,
or you see Cubans, or you see somebody from the Bahamas or Bermuda, or you see somebody from, of course, I've said Trinidad and Tobago, you see somebody from the Bahamas, you see somebody from Jamaica, you see somebody from St. Lucia, St. Pesha, St. Vincent, some of these islands. They hold Kwame Nkrumah in a high esteem. Rather, we who should hail him in the name of politics, who always bring him down. Sometimes we have nothing. It doesn't make sense. We destroy our own, and that is why Africa is where it is now. Pulling down syndrome. People don't want anybody to gain recognition above them. But whether we like it or not, I salute Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
we hail him on
I bless his home, bless his children, bless his family. And of course, CPP, they've done so many wrong. I will not even go to say But Kwame Nkrumah as an individual, congratulations. And there are a lot of people today who are playing politics over CPP. There are a lot of pressmen today, we know where they are. They claim they are CPP. A lot of pastors today, they know where they are. They say they are CPP because we see the good work of Kwame Nkrumah. So for Kwame Nkrumah, we hail you.
One time. Let me read the messages and then we'll dive into what else is happening today. Today is the 60th anniversary of the founding of the OAU, Organization of African Unity. Shout outs to those who went ahead of us to build the foundations. They had big dreams. We are disappointing them, but all is not lost. Once there's life,
There's hope.
there's hope.
There's hope.
Good morning, CAF and team. Yes, Dangote has built the largest oil refinery in Africa. Nigeria has 5 refineries, none of them work. They refine outside and import finished products. Let's see how Dangote will change the narrative. Sheikh, you have spoken well. The Libyan people are now sorry for their actions. They are worse off as a people, says Amandeus. Thank you so much, Amandeus. Ni Adiko says, please tell Sheikh the answer is simple. Africans should stop their religiosity and go back to our spirituality. We have to practice our spirituality, which is close to nature. Hence our maker Okulijan Mau Atana Nyongmo Jehovah. That's our only savior in this mess. Ni Adiko going on the spiritual tangent there. Aaron is talking about inflation. We'll talk about inflation in a short while. Now we're talking OAU stuff. All right. In fact, all African presidents and heads of states should be bowing their heads in shame for allowing the U.S. to kill ex-President Gaddafi. Libyans themselves are suffering. And you think Gaddafi could have given Ghana the $3 billion as a loan for long term. Africa has lost a true African leader. And it's not just about the money that we should think about Gaddafi. I mean, it's still a sense of pride in his people. And that's really important. Okay. Alaji, Sheikh, respectfully, I believe the correct reported figure is 19, it's not even 12, it's 19 billion durable, hard-earned.
So I have brought it down.
You got it down. Please appreciate it. The value of the refinery is 19
Add 7 billion to
So I
it.
should add 7. MashaAllah. 7 billion.
Yes.
19
hard,
billion.
durable
US
US
dollars. Not a joke. Dangote is a shining example of private enterprise. The firm is strong and resilient because of solid corporate structure, says Professor Serbe Yadom, who's watching us on this show. Isa says, when we were in Libya, all Ghanaians called Gaddafi Kweku. When we were, they were all called Kwekuata. And this is somebody who lived in
who
Libya
lived there.
and enjoyed all the good stuff. Those hailing Gaddafi for his development of Libya makes me question one thing. Please ask your panel, are you ready to give up your freedom and freedom of speech in Ghana for development under a dictator like Gaddafi? Where all freedom and opposition was silenced, jailed, or killed? Is that the price to pay for development? Hundreds of unmarked graves were found after he was killed. A dictatorship is a great way to fast development for a country as long as you shut up, says Nico Ghana. All right, Akazabre. So who is the cause of African problems? Dr. Hilal Liman and Lieutenant Rawlings died in Ghana. Who is the cause of African problems? Blame your soldiers for all that has happened to Africa, says Akazabre. So conversations are going on around Africa. The high BFS, Sheikh and Rev have said it all. As a country with abundance of human and natural resources, we lack the basic principle of development. That's producing what we consume and consuming what we produce and aiming to become self-sufficient and thinking of export for foreign exchange. But unfortunately, we are still import dependent. Indeed, Ghana needs generational thinkers. And then you drop in your plug for Ken Bebape as president. Which of the Kens is this?
During the politics.
Kojo Selassie. He says, hi, accelerated development plan was the magic. Several years after Kumra's death, there are landmarks or living testimonies like schools, factories, roads. Today, it's all about huge, meaningless slogans and fantasy projects. We need dual carrier roads linking Accra to the regions and not flyovers, which are very expensive. Yet they claim they're the best since independence. It's a shame. Good morning, Gabriel, named after the angel from Takrady. I want to remind your guests that religion is one of the reasons why Ghana is where we are. Foreign religions have made us not to think, and the leaders of these religions are also to blame. So St. Mark throwing the cat among the pigeons. I wonder what they'll have to say about that. Alaji S. Kalu. Good morning, GTV. I'm really enjoying the discussions. He says good evening. Maybe he's in Australia. Who knows? I don't know. I think the problem of Ghana has to do with accepting who we are and carefully implementing foreign cultures into our societies. I believe the issue is not about leaders, because every time we change leadership, the subject remains the same. Alaji S. Kalu from Nalerigu. Okay. If not wickedness, how come we don't have... he said, why have we named our national airport after someone who brought a coup to Ghana by overthrowing our first president, who we claim as a savior? We supported evil over Kwame Nkrumah in the name of one party. We're now begging China to help us to get IMF money. Meanwhile, it's the same system China used to become who they are today. Africa's problem is not external, it is internal, says Eric Thin. In Awoshi, messages flooding in like the water that carried Noah's Ark. Dangote invested $19 billion, not 12 billion. Don't worry. We have apologized for devaluing it by $7 billion hard and durable dollars. Your panel are men of God. They should pray for Africa for the implementation of successful policy in programs. At some point in time, it goes beyond prayer. You have to do the work.
Faith without work. The Bible says faith without work is dead.
It's dead.
You know, it's one of these subject of Pastor Otabel's presentation during times that we're having issues with this dollar and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think he made a very good presentation.
You have to
on the fact that once God has created and given us all the resources, the other responsibility is
to do the work.
We must plan and we must be.
Good morning, Kaf. Ask the two clergymen whether religion is not one of the tools that has been used by the colonial masters to suppress the black man. What was Kwame Nkrumah's Christian name? Well, I can tell you. He was called Francis. Yes. He dropped it.
Which church
did he worship? Well, he was a Catholic. He was baptized a Catholic. I went to the place where he was baptized. I've been there. So, yeah.
And he was a priest.
He was a priest, yeah. So at least I can answer that one. Come on, GTV. These guests are so full of wisdom. He's created a new word. You're so wisdomful. I like it, man. Always make great submissions. They don't do propaganda. They say things they are as they are without bias. They are my mentors. God bless them. Happy AU Day to Africans watching you all the way live from the University for Development Studies Tamale campus. Kufogidira Ernest Akiko. Your name sounds like drum language. I love it. Stephen Edu. The Libyans will suffer more than Ghana for killing Gaddafi. It's a curse.
Don't curse. No curse.
No curse. Look, Africa and Ghana are not ready for this so-called democracy. Look at Rwanda. We need a benevolent dictator. That is the only way Africa can progress. This nonsense must stop. Adopting Reverend's catchphrase and hashtag. Let me quickly go through what's in the news, and then I'll find out what's on the minds of my gentlemen apart from AU issues. Today's a great day, 25th May 2023, 60 years. That's wow, 6 decades after the founding of the OAU. Shouts to those great leaders again from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Ethiopia, from Egypt, from Algeria, from Somalia, from Uganda, and from Cameroon, the founding fathers of the OAU. Daily Graphic. In sync with us, AU at 60, silence the guns. Armed conflicts threat to African Continental Free Trade Area, aka AFTA, mercifully short. Professor Echidansu warns. Ahead of vetting tomorrow, has company law sculpted Justice Gertrude Tokonu for Ghana? That's a question. The Chief Justice has gone on retirement. They retired at 70, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Chief, I'll never retire though, so yeah. Chief Justice Henning retires. Free SHS suppliers give NAFCO a 2-week ultimatum. Mental cases increase in data reveals. Pretty sad. Parliament reconvenes on the 6th of June. All right, Ghanaian Times. BOG. I never liked this acronym. Bank of Ghana. I mean, a BOG is like it's not a place you want to go into, but that's their acronym. BOG. Bank of Ghana launches cyber threat and attack center for banking sector. We need that. The scammers are too many. 49 foreigners arrested for human trafficking, cybercrime activities in Accra. Wow. 70 laptop computers, 2 cars, 51 mobile phones, others retrieved. Supreme Court affirms judgment denying license to cultivate cannabis. Cannabis is also known as marijuana or weed or ganja. Yeah, you know the names. All right. Kush. Yeah. But AG seeks a review. Court issues arrest warrant for 2 alleged fraudsters. Good. Catch them all. Observing International Day of United Nations Peacekeepers. Peace begins with me. That's the theme. And judicial staff on strike over salaries. Those are the headlines. Apart from the OAU, what is on your mind? I want to go with Reverend first.
There is an issue that you asked me about earlier, about the which book, the
is it the band of drumming?
Yes,
drumming. Yeah.
Okay. Now let me clarify this thing. We must be very careful as a nation not to create an issue that will become a national security threat. Every May, mid-May to mid-June, the people of Ghana go through the banning of noise and drumming. For the people of La, Osu, of course Labade, Nongwa, Teshi, and Gamashi. In the past, we were very few, so the approach was that no noise anywhere, no funeral, nothing. And of course, it has to be observed. In every community, we must respect our culture and our tradition. And I believe the church and the states must collaborate to work, just like the Muslims and Christians are collaborating now to work, and that brings harmony. This time around, I think we seem to be losing sight of it. In our bid to go to the extreme, some unscrupulous people are entering churches and are taking away instruments and drums and things away. And there are people who don't even come in the name of the Gamash, even though they go in the name of the Gamash or the Gamanche, it is their own agenda. Last year, an experience in our meeting place, the young men who had gathered some soldiers who were playing instruments and things, pastors and things. And then whilst they were there, somebody jumped into it. He was coming to take an instrument away that they were making noise inside the church. Of course, the soldiers would not like you to come and bully them when they were in uniform themselves. So one got a good slap. By the time he got the slap, he said, "Cho mekulo." Then we realized that the guy was not a guy. He was an airway man who was coming to take an instrument and was using this time to come and steal.
Taking advantage of the situation.
So this time around, the regional minister, that I must commend though, Henry Quartey, the regional minister, has done very well. He's been able to bring a balance between the chiefs, the regional house of chiefs, the ministry for gender and ministry for religion and tradition, and also the clergy together. And we are finding a compromise. We should be very careful not to allow something that can be managed well to become an issue. A lot of people in the churches are very wild now, and they think some people are using the name of tradition to take advantage of them. But let me put this on record. I come from all the royal homes. I'm a true Gandangme. My great-grandfather is Nene-Soji. So by name, I'm supposed to belong to Nene-Soji Agbiyotete. I am qualified to be a chief in the Dangme Shire area. Then also, of course, I never wanted it. I want to be a preacher, and that is why I'm a preacher. Then when it comes to Osu and Asren, my mother's father come from Osu, and mother come from Asren in the house. So I even make a joke sometimes with the government that if the seat was a bench, I would have let him push a little so I can also sit by him. So I'm somebody who really believe in tradition and believe in our culture. But I will beg that the chiefs should tell the young men so they don't take advantage of the position and rather undermine the great meaning of this whole ceremony. There's not supposed to be noise and drumming, and I think the church must be wise enough to maintain that. But please don't also go into the church and tell them not to use the microphone. That is absurdity. If I have a 1,000 membership or 5,000 membership or even 200 membership, how can I speak without a microphone? So sometimes we need to create a balance. And of course, today there's a big meeting in Dodowa.
Okay.
From here, I'm going to there's a very big meeting in Dodowa comprising all the stakeholders. The regional minister is going to be there. The minister for religion and Asamabuatin, Asabi, is going to be there. Henry Quartey, the regional minister, is going to be there. All the clergy, the Pentecostal Council, the Traditional Council, the independent churches, the charismatic churches, the apostolic fathers, all of us are going to be there together with all the regional house of chiefs. It's a big meeting today in Dodowa in the next 1 hour. When I leave here, I'm going there straight. But my plea for all of you who are listening to me is that don't take an advantage as an Asafwache to go and bump into a mosque. Or I said this yesterday, and I'm happy Sheikh is here, so when I say it, it don't look as if I'm being sarcastic. Maybe the Christians will be very polite with you. But if you walk into the mosque and you attempt to take something, you see what they call in the world, so you go see your mother. And then what we'll do is that we'll destroy the entire thing. Let us be careful. In fact, I'm happy that this meeting is coming on, but I'm cautioning everybody. I come from a royal home. I was born in Nene. It means that my father knows I'm like them. From the Dodowa clan. I'm one person that they don't play with at all. My brothers and my cousins who are the kings, Nene and Te Ukrubo, is always laughing at me that I ran away from the thing, but I want to always enjoy the name. So let us do it in such a way that it will be a peaceful thing for all of us. And I beg you, if we take it for granted, this is just 2 weeks ahead. We can destroy and create a tension. And the politicians don't have the solution. I must commend, though, that the way Henry Korte, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, have handled it. I'm so impressed with the young man. I mean, he has size and he has weight, and he's been very firm with everybody. The areas, the thing, the men. We had a meeting in his office, and he was talking about how we reduce the thing. We told him, we ourselves in the church don't want to drum.
I mean, you suffer.
We don't want to use the drums. But if the church is not using the drum, which is a big compromise, and they are using a keyboard or a microphone, and a young Asafwache who is maybe drunk and doesn't even see the value, doesn't come to some of the meetings.
And Asafwache is what, like a warrior?
Yeah, the warriors.
Traditional
traditional warriors. So the good thing is that Mankata, Asafwache Mankata, who is the head of the Greater Accra Asafwache, a very level-headed man, is somebody who we are working with now together to see how we can. So please, if you are listening to me, whether you are in Osu or from Labadi, or you are from Teshin, or you are from Nungwa, or you are from Gamashi, we are putting these things together, and don't take the law into your hands. Apart from everything, if you take the law into your hand to any church to try to take an instrument, you'll be arrested. Because that we have laws in this country. And I don't want this thing to be pushed to the place where the church will also go to court on this issue, and then we undermine the whole thing. I am a Gan, true and true Gan. We want to observe our traditional thing, but please don't take advantage to destroy what the Gamanche is doing. I want to wish Niteko to do the second and all the Gamanches all the best. Let me take from what Sheikh did last time. A lot of people blame me that I didn't speak their language. I was in trouble. Inne jinene soji ne konka nge Dodowa forest. Nonenge deji madumi ona apio wa hie ne hi kunu wakono kuno. Mlanga manom lo no feno wanga pio wa hane mla achuni kune nokoto ma ne tumunyu wa kodeka Asafwache jiwo lo wanga no gosolemia na wa ngo a microphone lo wa ngo a keyboard lo wa ngo a drum wa pe no ne he kunu wa twepe boajo aba kune jomi one ma ke hawo ke hang ma yemio ke ma yemio be so wa ke no kunu ekono wa hane Muslim ke Christian ke tradition ke culture pe wa ba wa pe kake kune wa hane twem jom aba manom no ni yoji gameji wo ke ke kanla ebe ni be fe be ye ke wonchuni ye wochuni ye ke hishiba ke nyumogbe yishimo boko aka ya so mo chumi loko ya wo keyboard mekume echo ni mafia na mekenju amekenfini aka mfite wogbe wole aka kusunye ntombo ni nke inchese je Dodowa ni nyese je Osuka san ni Gamanche machine amehu je menje inhio yo akeshi esani wonyo fe ni no juba kuni so mo aka fetu mo wo hinchame lo waka me yesane shi won fe no kuni ke mi she baba no ni nkeji kote bono nya ba so mo chum kuma mine kwa aje mo ko drome kote wonye me muslim aje ko kwe na hi agbo twin igbe ko ne ho last year mo ko ba wo so mo le ba wo keyboard as my aigbenyu pojile je ganyu jile wo kan ni me yi ho gbe badge ye obey badge, the police fit all here. Don't go with the badge and police and do it. And let me also caution the church: don't take advantage of religiosity and freedom of expression to abuse the culture. In every community, you can't go to Ashanti and do all the nonsense we do sometimes. We can't go to Ho and do it. We can't go to the north and do it. So if we are in Accra, let us respect the dignity of the people of Accra. And I'm first to admit that sometimes our people go to the extreme. And don't be a church leader. That will be a nuisance. The nonsense in thinking that we are serving God. The Bible says we should be as wise as serpent and as harmless as dove. This thing is just 1 month and it's over. There's no much you will lose if you don't use the drums. So please, let's put our drums down. Let's reduce the volume. And the essence is to pray that our harvest will be bountiful. God bless you. My name is Lawrence Nene Kofi Soje Agbenyo Tete. I am true and true Gandangbe. Nyumwa Jonye Fehim.
Sure.
Chani Manyaba.
Manyaba.
Yeah.
Neka fiti ani okuna.
Sheikh, what's on your mind as well?
Yeah, I mean, this subject is something that affects all of us.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, it's
The ban on
yeah.
noise making.
But I
and
think there's
drumming.
a certain revival of cultural and ethnic pride that is running across the country. So if you go to Ashanti region, certain things happens. They lay certain ban on certain things to show the power of the kingdom. You come to Greater Accra region, the Gas also want to also. You go to Volta region, yeah. So in all this, but in all this, it appears to me what we have not been able to do is to draw the line between where these traditions clash with our national laws. I think that's where we have a problem. Where, for example, the issue of freedom of movement. For example, at one time, your whole movement is restricted. That you can't, even for you to go to market and buy food and eat. But because of a certain tradition, I mean, you cannot do that. So, how do we ensure that we apply and respect these traditions within context of moderation? That we respect these, and then so I want to call on all religious people that when this time comes, let's come to a certain kind of dialogue. Like Reverend said, for example, if you go to the UK, for example, in most mosques, for example, you cannot blare the horn. Yeah. And yet we use microphones. I have been to London to lead prayer before. Just recently I traveled to the US. I met Ghanaian Muslim community. I led them on Friday prayer. We used a microphone, but it was controlled inside. So even in our case, can we, because of the respect we have, but can the Ga community or traditional religious also understand that there must be moderation? We can use the mic, but because we respect the tradition, we are not using it outside. We are controlling it. I mean, for example, yeah. But when we go beyond and insist that don't use it completely, then you see a certain kind of infringement on our religious rights, which the Constitution has guaranteed. I think that when the time comes, I'm happy that this meeting is going to take place, so that our tradition should be respected, and then also by the rights of others also. But the point you raised about, and I think I want to encourage the Bank of Ghana for that step that they want to take about this the cyber fraud thing. It is one of the dangers now, even to our security. And so once you open up for this cyber fraud to take place, in fact, it means that the security of our financial institution itself is under threat. And once you attack a financial institution, then the general security of a state is also now is also undermined. So it is not even an isolated thing related to only the finances of our country, but the generality of our security is also under attack. So I think whatever technology we need, I think we need to tighten it up, and really get these people out, or to fast track the way we are able to arrest them. I mean, today you are there, you are able to really, receive certain calls.
You don't understand.
You don't know. Several times, you find that then somebody is talking to you with an Arab tone,
yes,
or an American tone somewhere, or certain language. How he got your number, you don't even understand how he even got your number. Yeah, so our cybersecurity institutions need to really take this one up. But I'm happy that the Bank of Ghana has taken it up as a serious matter. Let's hope that we really protect our financial space that already we are suffering.
Indeed.
Already we are suffering. So we don't want these things also come and compound our situation.
Are those criminals still using your name to sell drugs?
They are doing it. I mean, they'll stop today and then go to another spot again. And people are doing it from all. In fact, now what they have been doing is collecting monies in my name. So we of course, by the grace of God, now we've been able to keep it a little.
Oh, okay.
But still every now and then, it shows their head up.
Yeah, and we need to do something at least to really...
But back to the gun thing again. Please let us not create unnecessary tension between the traditional houses and the church. I'm saying this thing with a lot of emotions and a passion. Because for me, I stand in both homes. I come from the royal home. I'll be very unwise, I'll be very stupid if I say anything against the traditional home now. Because I'll be going back home. Gamanche will be watching me. Asren Manche will be watching me. Nungwa Manche, Osu Manche will be watching me, even though they should be on their way now to Dodowa, because the meeting is at 10:30. And don't be late. It's at 10:30. And those of you who are fond of sending people to represent you, it is not good. Some of these things is very important that you are there yourself to know what went on. Reported speech is not like getting it from the first hand. And these are very serious matters that if we don't handle well, in the end, if somebody goes to court and the Supreme Court gives a ruling, it can be in your favor or against you. And that will be very difficult for you to avert. So let us all come and help it. Let us also not take extreme strength. Let's not take extreme strength. Let us create a balance. I think we can do it. If we can do something quietly in the church and not be so noisy, how dare you walk into the church and go and stop the church? And some people go into the church, are drunkards. You are drunk and you want to just go and misbehave.
But I remember I put some comma there. They said even in the tradition, in fact, if it becomes necessary to change, in fact, there are rituals to perform.
Yes.
So that the gods and the ancestors, of course, they are also, they want to protect society. Yes. In the belief of our traditional religion, the place of the ancestors and the gods. In fact, they are there, the ancestors, in their belief is that they also, though they are in the other side of life, but they are also like supervisors and they want the good of society. That's what they do. And that's why you can invoke their spirit for something to be changed. Like the Trokosi that we were doing. Trokosi was really subjecting women to certain treatment. It's a disregard. But in the traditional wisdom, it meant something. But in the right of the girl who is growing, who through whose no fault, she's been enslaved and she's been, but now in some cultures, they did the tradition, the rituals, and the gods and the ancestors have accepted that we can modify, so that those modifications, can come, so the church and the mosque can manage, reduce the noise, and then they also consider that even though it is not complete ban, but they have also respected.
And we come from it that what be my Jehovah, what be my Jehovah. Hani jembi fen aleake o he wale na woyo. Hani jembi fen aleake o he wale na woyo. The Gans, we come from Israel, so we keji amo mowo afi mowo awo jata aboya mi pokwe woyeji eloye woja wonko ko. So we should collaborate. The whole of money, they represent the priests. So let's do this thing, the Asafwache, the wool of men, and the kings. Let's move together and let's create a compromise so we don't go to the extreme to stop the unity we have. The church and the tradition must work together.
In the spirit of unity, I want to say thank you so much to Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, President and founder of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach, and to Sheikh Arabia Shaibu, who speaks for the National Chief Imam of the Republic of Ghana. Gentlemen, thank you. Africa unite. Yeah, you know that song? Bob Marley sang about that song many years ago.
Atu Roxon how to sing that song.
How good and how pleasant it is for people.
But I wish philosophically Africans will redefine what African liberation means in modern day terms.
Indeed.
Yeah. Stop the political liberation.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know we will.
Thank you.
We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. The second verse says, it will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. Africa, we know we will.
Waya.
That's what Sibisa.
You are a true Jama leader.
Yeah,
I can imagine you in school. You are a Chobo.
I wish African Union well, and I want to say, may the Lord preserve our leaders. As much as we've been critical and we've given our critiques here, we also love and respect all the African leaders. It is not too late. We can come together in a massive united front to build a better African Union, from the south to the north,
to the east,
to the
and the
east
west.
and the west, and we will have a better Africa, better than the European Union, who copied the African Union, better than United States. God bless African community.
I mean,
Amen. Work it. Thank you so much. This conversation on this whole business of African Union unity is coming up after this. Echo Smith Asante is going to be on the show as well. And your messages on 055-556-1034. One love. Happy AU Day. Enjoy the rest of the day. My name is Kafui Day, Ade, like my name, and I short raps. So you can take the camera off me now.